Afternoon, everyone. Just got back from the CSAC conference in Monterey. Aside from a few inspirational presentations, it just makes me even more appreciative of the child support conferences, because that was not a very exciting conference, let me just say. Probably won't be returning back to that one. In any case, I wanted to have our folks give you an update on what happened last night and where we're at today, so I'll turn it over to Catherine.
All right, good afternoon, directors. If we could go to the next slide. So progress since last night, we continue to work on the stability user experience issues. We were able to implement additional changes to the F5 device management console. And what that does is it allows TSD to maintain and properly monitor the memory on the network traffic and monitor the firewall. And so I touched on it a little bit yesterday, but just a reminder that F5 is the company that DCSS uses, and we're contracted with them for network traffic, firewall, application availability, performance, the cloud management, security, firewall access authorization, and then also online fraud prevention. We also worked with IBM to continue to fully resolve the CSE compatibility issue with IBM products, those products being FileNet, Content Foundation, and then also MQ. And that's related to the document retrieval architecture problem that we're having and inconsistencies with how CSE uses those products. So the initial recommendations that IBM gave us, we implemented those the evening of 12/1. And while it did relieve some pressure, it did not fully resolve the issue. And so because of that, we're continuing to work with IBM. And due to its complexity, IBM has now assigned the issue to their highest engineering resolution team. And it is being worked on 24/7 by IBM engineers, and that's part of our contract with IBM. The other thing that we did last night was we resolved some database locks that we were having. Those were occurring inconsistently, but now that we resolved those, that will also assist in relieving some of the CSE slowness. And then the last thing that we did was we did confirm that that higher performing storage with Microsoft is working, but we'll continue to monitor that and adjust as necessary. Regarding local batch print, we are now up to 44 of the 55 LCSAs resolved. And if you are having issues and you're a resolved county, please report that to us and we will get a meeting with you and your team to make sure that you stay resolved and that everything is good. Let's see, I think next slide. All right, so then based on yesterday's call, I wanted to talk a little bit about the local scan and what our plan is related to local scan. So yesterday, I touched a little bit on one of the IBM products, the IBM MQ, which is a messaging queue. That is also having compatibility issues with CSE. And the IBM engineers are working on that recommendation for DCSS. The issue is around reports, forms, and then basic job queues. So reports and forms will queue up to be generated. And it appears that when these queues get backed up, my team does not have any advanced notification that and an alert system. So we're unable to monitor that they're getting backed up. And so what that does is it doesn't really give us a chance to swap out a server or put a fix in before the user gets that bad experience. And so once that MQ, that IBM MQ issue is resolved, we're going to begin initial testing with Sacramento, Orange, and San Mateo. Because these three counties already have configuration changes implemented for our encryption block. And we have already today reached out to Sacramento, San Mateo, and Orange to start initial round of configuration changes and testing with them. And then we're looking for these counties to work with us, send the documents via their local scan, and be our pilot testers. The second portion will be to implement the configuration changes with two option 1 counties, Sutter and San Benito. And these are the two counties in the option 1 group that performed local scan. We'll then evaluate and validate the results of the testing, and when approved, we will then work with the remaining option 2 and 3 counties to implement the configuration changes, and changes will have to be made for each local scan workstation. And then the other thing I just wanted to note is that as part of the rollout and the fix for this, it will be really important that we have really high communication and the resolution of the phases as we bring them on, so as to not overwhelm the Kofax local system scan systems. And then next slide. So still pending resolution tonight and over the weekend, me and my team will continue to troubleshoot with IBM engineers, implement the recommended changes as appropriate to the IBM products. We are going to continue to work on resolving issues around online applications and SOMs. We did do some work last night related to that, but we did not get to full resolution and it did not pass testing. So we did not implement those changes. I also wanted to update you on a question that came in yesterday for the FIN208 and the dates of receipts for payments. So DCSS Business Solutions and Operations will be able to fix the data receipt issue and ensure that arrears will not be created and disregards will go out correctly. And DCSS Operations will provide more information next week related to that. And then lastly, I do want to let you know about a new issue that has surfaced. And this is common as you start to relieve some of the major items. Some small things will creep up. And sometimes they're small and sometimes they're large. And so early this morning, my team reported to me that we are having issues with the eIWAs to OCSE. And then subsequently through the day, I had some counties also report that to me. And we're doing initial troubleshooting to figure out what the issue is and where the root cause is. Believe it or not, it looks like it is a font issue related to OCSE and some outdated fonts that OCSE uses. And so that will require us to make changes to the file exchange, and then we'll continue to work on that. But I just wanted to let you know that that is a new issue that has risen to the top, and we are addressing it. And then I think the next slide is just questions.
So given that we've got a full weekend of work ahead of us, we'll plan to put another meeting on calendar for Monday afternoon to give you an update on what was resolved or worked on over the weekend. See, we can talk through additional changes that have happened because of that. Leslie?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if any LCSAs are still holding money or money is en route to the SDU. If you would let Business Solutions know, they'll be working over the weekend to put holds on that. If money's already been dispersed, we'll be doing that work. But if it hasn't been, then we can make sure that we're not potentially creating any receivables. So if we get anything on that, we'll act on it. But otherwise, as Catherine said, we'll be working to redo the data receipt. Once we get the list tonight, we'll be starting on that.
Do you have a specific point of contact, Leslie?
Sorry, I just saw that. Go ahead and just use the Business Solutions mailbox. We're monitoring it, because I promised them I would bring it up here.
Okay. Leslie, would you go ahead and post that Business Solutions email in the chat? Just make sure everyone has.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, I appreciate that. If there are any others come up, email myself, Catherine, the RAs. We're all cycling things in through to make sure that we're aware of the latest issues that might be cropping up. So if you another update Monday once we know how well the weekend goes. Thank you.
Hey, David.
Yes.
I did have one question. Today we notified the help desk that current support the obligation was shut down by the system due to a balance region batch problem. They did indicate there's more cases involved, but we don't know the magnitude of that. I was wondering, is there a report that we can work so that we can reopen those current support charging instructions? Or run a balance region to make the system reopen them?
I can check into that further. I did get some results maybe 45 minutes ago related to that. And so my team is looking at it because they're filtering a lot of incidents that could be a major impact through me. That way I'm aware of them. And then I can get some more information for you.
Great, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Hi, David. Before you hang up, I'm sorry because I didn't hear. Is CSC going to be available tomorrow since they're working on it? Is it going to be available to work overtime on Saturday?
Yes, it is available tomorrow. We do have several counties that have requested Saturday access, and we have approved those.
Thank you.
If there is a need to bring the system down, we'll make sure we put a notice out well ahead of time so that folks are aware, but we typically only do that in the evenings after 5 o'clock.
It's after 6 o'clock, just to be clear.
Yeah. That's also after 5 o'clock.
That's true. Yes.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Welcome to December.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, so is it that I'm just coming and everybody's leaving?